Hello and welcome to Enchantment of Eternity's review for Star Wars Rebels Season 2. This video is part of a series of videos where I cover every episode of Star Wars Rebels one season at a time. In this video I will cover all the episodes of Season 2 of Star Wars Rebels. So, yeah, it's okay. I got into another season of Rebels. Now I am told that seasons 3 and 4 is when it gets really good. But I was somewhat impressed with season 1. I thought it was okay. Season 2, also okay. I'm gonna say season 2 is like my season of the 7. And I've had this before with some other seasons, where I give a rating between 1 and 10 for every episode, and I keep track of it. Now, if it's a show I like, we'll have mostly positive ratings above 6. 7 is is good. It's like pretty good, but not great. 8 is getting into maybe it's a bit greater, and 9 is freaking really good, and 10 is like top notch. Pretty much every episode I gave them a 7 to. This season, I was like, I kept saying to myself, what do I want to give this episode? A 7. What about this one? A 7. What about next one? A 7. Because that's pretty much how I feel about the majority. Now, there's a few that got it like a 6, and I think there's one that got a 5, and there's a couple that got an 8 or 9, but the majority got 7s. So that's kind of how I feel about it. It's like, it's pretty good, but not great. Like, that's what I thought about every episode. Like, I enjoyed every episode, I just wasn't blown away by it. Now, of course, the main difference of Season 2 as compared to Season 1 is Season 2, it follows the same group of characters, our band of mischiefs, rebels, but this time they're actually a part of the larger rebellion. They're not just hanging out on that one planet, which was my biggest gripe of season 1. In fact, it took me a long time to figure out that they were just on the same planet. I'm like, really? You're just gonna stay on the same planet the whole time? But now they're a lot more mobile in this season, and they hang out with other rebels. A lot of red shirt rebels. But then there's the commander, Sato, the leader. And of course you got known characters like Ahsoka. And it's so great to see Ahsoka again. However, here's a recurring theme. I had to remind myself throughout this season in particular, although I haven't started the next season, so maybe that'll be an issue there too. But that season 7 of the Clone Wars didn't come out till after Rebels, which I think is a shame, because I actually think that changes the dynamic a bit. You can tell that because the last time Ahsoka was seen when this aired was season 5 of Clone Wars. And the last time she was seen is when she left the Jedi and walked away from Anakin. And you do get that impression that that's what they're building off of. And so I had to keep reminding myself that. I actually think it's a shame, because I think it would have brought in more nuance if they played more with the events of Clone Wars Season 7. But of course, that hadn't been written yet. And it does make me wonder why they weren't considering that, that they were actually changing the dynamic of this season of Rebels by the way they wrote Clone Wars. But, oh well. Yeah, I'm not recording video, just audio. You can see my kitten just jumped on my microphone and started meowing, purring at me. Maybe the microphone picked it up. Anyway, so what was I saying? Rebels, yes. I did enjoy the fact that they broadened the universe, and apparently they're going to do this even more. Maybe get more into sort of legacy characters in season 3 or 4. I don't know. I haven't seen it yet. Anyway, let me go ahead and jump into the episodes. Let me start with the first pair of episodes, The Siege of Lothal. Now, so this carries off where season 2 left off, where our band of rebels have joined the Greater Rebellion. They met up with Ahsoka, and you see her hanging out, and Darth Vader arrives at Lothal and wanting to capture these rebels, but they have now left Lothal, so they try to come up with this plan to bring them back to Lothal. And they have this Imperial woman who was in season 1, and they heavily imply that Tarkin's gonna see her, so pretty much she assumes that he's gonna kill her because that's how the Empire hangs. You have failed, and just kill them. So she actually defects. Now later we see Darth Vader with that. What the fuck is that other dude? That one blonde-haired dude. We actually get a lot more of him this season, which I was a bit disappointed in because I thought he was kind of a useless villain in season 1. I much preferred the Grand Inquisitor, but he of course died at the end of season 1. Agent Kallus, yes, that's his name. So anyway, he and Darth Vader lure the ghost back to Lothal by having this, Imperial lady defect. And here's the thing, this is definitely the Darth Vader's plan all along. He made it very clear. But did he know that she was going to defect by saying, "Hey, Tarkin's going to see you," or was she just pretending? That's what I was asking myself while I was watching this episode. She dies, and she seemed pretty sincere in wanting to defect to the rebels, so I have to think that Darth Vader just threatened her life and would assume that she'd defect, which is pretty strong assumption, but whatever. Unless, of course, maybe in another season they reveal that she's alive the whole time she was just playing, but I don't know. So this episode was pretty good. Especially we got to see, Ezra and Kane have to fight Darth Vader, which was pretty freaking intense. I thought it was pretty intense when they had to fight the Grand Inquisitor in Kanan, sorry. I thought it was pretty intense when they had to fight the Grand Inquisitor in season 1. And so that, of course, nothing compared to having to freaking fight Darth Vader. And it was super intense. I love how they foreshadowed with both of them. Were oh, I feel really cold when Darth Vader was nearby. That was pretty good stuff. So we move over to the conclusion, the Siege of Lothal Part 2. And this is where they, the ghosts are stuck on Lothal now because they close all the ports, or the crew, I should say. The ship isn't actually there, and so they need a ship to leave, and they close all the ports, and even when they go into hiding spaces, they're all found out, and they're having a really hard time of it, and so they go to Lando. Good old guest appearance from Lando again, although he's actually not on Lothal, but he has, droids there and is able to smuggle them out. And then, they have this encounter where Darth Vader is nearby, and Ahsoka can sense him. And this is when you get the real first impression that Ahsoka figures out that this is actually Anakin, although she doesn't really know. She just gets a sense. It's her whole body goes cold and she's in shock. Now, I kind of got the impression, because this is where part of where the Clone Wars Season 7 comes in, because when Order 66 happened, they have the audio of Anakin turning against the Emperor. Ahsoka is listening to it, she can sense what's happening. And I couldn't remember if she said it outright, but I thought, Darth Maul kind of implied, his plan was ingenious. So I thought that she knew that that Anakin turned evil. But, again, came out after this. So it seems like when they wrote that, they should have tried to make it more consistent with this, which was already made. But that was amazing. That was awesome. So I can't really fault them for that. But yeah, it's just weird. It's out of whack watching this because, like, shouldn't she already know this? But, you know, you could make the argument that she didn't know for sure, but still. And you can make the argument that this was also really cool, getting a scene where she's like, ah! Freaking out. So, whatever. Still, so I love this one too. Really good as well. So we'll get into the next episode, which is the Lost Commanders, and this is when we meet Rex. So we got Ahsoka, and now we get Rex. Again, I'm sorry, you got to bring up Clone Wars Season 7, which I know came out after this, but still, seems like Rex should have more of an attachment to Ahsoka than he does. He always talks about the great commander that he knew, and you can tell he's talking about, like, Anakin, but it seems like, I don't know, like, especially in Season 7 of Clone Wars, I had much more of an attachment to Ahsoka, but, like, they all even, like, painted it, but yes, I know it came out after this, but still, it's like, it's nudging at me, but anyway, this episode was okay. It's, Kanan and a few others go to the planet Kanan. It starts the long feud of Kanan not liking Rex and the other clone troopers because he's against clones, or, you know, prejudiced against clones for some reason. And well, Order 66 is a pretty good reason, but still. Anyway, why didn't Rex mention that, you know, Ahsoka destroyed his chip and they escaped together, and he saved her life from Order 66 because it hadn't been written yet. Anyway, sorry. So, yeah, it was okay. You had his other, I haven't watched The Bad Batch yet, so I don't know if these are the characters that were in The Bad Batch, even though I know this was written first. So maybe The Bad Batch was written to have the backstory of these two characters. Or maybe they're not in The Bad Batch at all. I'm not keeping track of this shit. All the people who've seen these shows, like, Mark, you're an idiot. You should know this, but I don't know. Haven't watched it yet. Anyway, so those other two guys, they want to get them to hunt down this creature, and everyone's arguing with treating Rex like shit, and Ezra's kind of sticking up for him. So it's okay. Next episode follows up on this. I believe it's called Relics of the Old Republic. It's when the Empire, or what's his face, Callus dude, tracks them down to the planet where Rex is, and they're hunting them, and they have to rarely, you know, pool their resources, and they end up, like, teaming up and seeing the clones' worth, and they end up liking the clones better. And in fact, Rex is about to sacrifice his life to save the others, but they come back and rescue him anywho, which I'm glad, because it's cool to have Rex. And I actually appreciate Rex a lot more now. Like, at the start of the Clone Wars, I thought he was just another generic clone commander or whatever. But I love what they did with him in this show. And of course, and also in Season 7 Clone Wars. Came out after this. Anyway, another good episode that I liked. So yeah, it was decent. Next episode is Always Two There Are. It's what Yoda said. It's even phrased in Yoda speak. Anyway, yes, it's called Always Two There Are, where Ezra, Sabine, Zeb, and Chopper, can't forget him, travel to an abandoned medical station looking for supplies, but there are Inquisitors there who hunt them down. It was really intense, especially seeing them have to face against not one, but two Inquisitors without Kanan there. So they had to get by with their wits. And I think Zeb ended up saving the day, which was a bit of a surprise. So, yeah. Decent episode. Did enjoy that. Next episode is called Brothers of the Broken Horn. This is when they fucking bring in Hondo. God damn it. Now, my sister did warn me of this because she saw my other videos like, you don't like Hondo, so you're not going to be very happy with who they bring back from the Clone Wars into Rebels. So I knew it was coming. It didn't surprise me. And I'll be honest, he's not as bad. And he has several appearances this season, and they're not as bad as he was in the Clone Wars. Something about it, he was just really, maybe it was the contrived writing or the fact that he did like that whole Seven Samurai plot where he attacked a village for no goddamn good reason. Where here, like this older version of Hondo is a lot more sort of, oh my friends, like really, really like friendly, but of course underneath he's trying to freaking steal all your money, which I don't think that's not quite how they play them in the Clone Wars. I remember him being much more annoying and stupid in the Clone, like attacking younglings for no goddamn good reason, where here he doesn't seem to like outright, again, he attack people, he's just like deceiving them. And the way his relationship with Ezra in this episode is like, oh my friend, and he's really just like fucking with him. It's okay. So yeah, I actually thought it was okay. Anyway, we'll get into the next episode, which is Wings of the Master. It's pretty good. another pretty good episode where they have to get this. They can't get past this blockade. They use a couple of red shirts die at the start of the episode, and so they need to come up with a better plan. And they hear about this. Like Rex has this information about this great ship that's a blockade. What do they call it? A blockade breaker or some shit. Anyway, so Hera travels there, and we get a nice Hera episode, which is good. But the pilot, the creator of the ship, not the pilot, he's looking for a pilot. He's like, I don't know, this character is a bit goofy for me. Like they lived in this world that like destroys engines. It's really hard to freaking land there, and a lot of people died just trying to land there. And he's like being a total dick to her. It's like, are you worthy of flying my ship? Just shut the fuck up and give her the ship. But it was a decent episode. I did enjoy it, and I enjoyed like her journey of learning to fly the ship, and it was actually pretty fucking cool when they did break through this blockade and were able to deliver the supplies. So another 7. Another good episode. Anyway, we'll get to this next episode, which is actually a bit below average this time. It's called Blood Sisters, where, oh god, what's her face? Sabine? Is that her name? Yeah, Sabine, where she finds out that there's another, like, bounty hunter who joined up with this like badass group of evil bounty hunters, and they used to be bounty hunters together apparently, and they're like grew up as kind of sisters, but now they're at odds, and they're both trying to like get this droid that has some information and blah 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 blah. I just thought this episode was boring. I wasn't really, when they revealed, oh my god, you were my sister, I grew up with you, I was like, oh, I don't care. It was just, I had felt no connection to it, and I didn't like care about this character one way or the other. Not a terrible episode though, but kind of boring. Anyway, I'll get to the next episode, which is Stealth Strike. This is when Ezra and Sato, Commander Sato, are captured by the Empire. And I love how they it's almost like a meta joke, how they joke about how Ezra escapes from prison all the fucking time. And he says that to Sato. It's like, don't worry, I escape from prison 3 times. So it's like, wow, it's kind of shitty of you to get arrested that much. And then later when Kanan gives the rescue Sato, and he's like, oh, we gotta get Ezra. And he's like, no, Ezra escaped. And he's like, oh, of course. Of course he escaped from prison. He always fucking does that. I think it's meta a bit, how they just keep writing that same plot over and over again. But anywho, kind of poking a little fun at themselves. Kanan and Rex team up, and again we have that pairing of these two who like hate each other and they're constantly like bitching at each other. You know, rah, 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 rah. And by the end of this episode, like Kanan salutes and Rex salutes back because they gain their respect. It's a really like cliche, but hey, this is a cartoon show for kids. So what are you gonna do? Again, another decent episode. Alright, so we'll get into the next episode, which is the future of the Force, where there's some Force babies that the Inquisitors are trying, or Force sensitive babies the Inquisitors are trying to capture. And Ahsoka and Ezra and Kanan are sent to stop them and save the babies, and there's this whole mission where Zeb has to carry this baby around the city, and it's okay. You know, it's funny though that they referenced that Clone Wars episode where they also involved like the Emperor trying to capture all these Force sensitive babies. And I thought it was interesting they referenced that episode because I felt this episode was like just like that. Like I was like, when I think of this episode, it's like, hey, this is just like that Clone Wars episode. Anyway, it was okay too. So next episode is a Legacy, where Ezra is searching for his parents. He has a vision of his parents escaping prison, so he goes to search for them, goes back to Lothal. And it's so funny how I said that this season takes place mostly off of Lothal, but they sure as hell fuck go there a lot. But anywho, he goes to Lothal to find his parents, but instead he finds Clancy Brown. As soon as I heard that guy talk, I'm like, that's fucking Clancy Brown. Now, if you don't know who Clancy Brown is, what the hell's wrong with you? There can only be one! And he played Korgon in The Highlander and the fucking prison guard from Shawshank Redemption. And he's been in a lot of shit. Tons of shit. And, of course, Star Wars cartoons, he also voiced Savage in the Clone Wars. But there, with Savage, I didn't even recognize his voice. I had to look it up that was him. But here, like, as soon as the character started talking, I'm like, that's Clancy Brown. So I just call him Clancy Brown. Anyway, so Clancy Brown tells Ezra the bad news that his parents died, but they saved everyone's lives in the process, and that they were very proud of him because they heard his broadcast. So yes, what am I going to say? Another good episode. Another 7. Anyway, then we get to the follow-up of this, Apprentice on Lothal. This is where they're still stuck there trying to get off Lothal and Clancy Brown is getting arrested and they saved him. And then Princess Leia shows up and Kanan and Ezra disguised as stormtroopers, like trying to help her, and she's still under the guise of being just a diplomat, but really she's trying to give them the Rebel Alliance these ships. But the kick of it is she has to make it look like the ships are stolen because the Empire can't find out that she's giving the Rebellion ships, because then Alderaan will lose its status as an Empire world, and they need to have that sort of hold there, which really goes along with what's been established in The New Hope. So, but the Empire kind of catches on to the fact that Alderaan's ships are constantly getting stolen from the Rebellion. So they start putting all these plans to clamp the ships down and make it much harder for the rebels to steal them. So they have to be inventive, and they get Clancy Brown's help to steal the ships. And while Princess Leia sort of plays around or whatever, plays coy. I like the appearance of Princess Leia. It was a really low-key, it wasn't like, oh my god, it's Princess Leia! But it was pretty low-key cameo, and it made sense for the story. It worked, and yeah, it was kind of interesting seeing the ships get stolen, so yeah. Another good episode. So, next is the Protector of Concord Dawn. where they try to get the secret passage through this Mandalorian thing. They're like, oh, let's negotiate for this passage that will let us use this hyperspace to get away from the Empire. And they fucking attack them and kill some people and almost kill Hera. And that leaves Kanan goes on the mission to make peace with them, but Sabine stowaways on the ship and has the intention of fighting him in person-to-person combat, single combat, which goes nowhere. And yeah, I don't know. I was kind of bored by this one too. It was okay, don't get me wrong. I don't think it sucked, but Anyway, next episode is called Legends of Lasat. This is when this gets into Zeb's backstory as he meets some other Lasat, which is a species that's apparently mostly wiped out by the Empire. And they call him captain or something, and he's like, no, I'm not a captain anymore. He's kind of ashamed of the fact that he failed his people and doesn't want to be revered. And these people are a bit nutty, and they come up with this weird prophecy to find their prophesized homeworld, and they do all these stupid rituals and these chants and shit. And Zeb thinks it's stupid, but in the end he ends up helping them. He uses his magic sword to get through this huge spatial anomaly that crushes the Empire ships that try to chase them. I thought that part was pretty cool. As annoying as these Lasat were, I did think it was actually a pretty good episode. So, another good episode. Anyway, next one is called The Call. It has to do with these space whales and how Ezra sort of forms a bond with them, and Hera wants nothing to do with them. She wants to just kill them and be done with it. And they try to steal some fuel from this, Empire fueling state. And the whales, are eating the fuel, and the guys are shooting them for this, and then Ezra realizes there's a connection between the fuel and the whales, and he uses his force abilities to, make friends with the whales and uses them to help defeat the Empire guys. Now, here's the thing. The guy who ran this gas station, or fuel thing for the Empire, he's just a private, business owner who owns a business. It works for the legitimate government of the whole region, of the whole galaxy, really, but let's say the region. He works for a legitimate, not a, but the legitimate government of the region, supplying fuel for ships. Mainly military ships, but all sorts of ships, could be transport ships. It's a legitimate business, and these outlaws show up to steal their fuel and start shooting at them. So he, of course, shoots back as defending his own property because he has, family to feed, maybe, and he doesn't want to get out of business, his legitimate business for a legitimate government. And in this episode, the rebels, like Ezra, gets these whales to chase him down and fucking eat him. And this is supposed to be like a kid show, and this is supposed to be, oh, isn't that funny, isn't that great? These whales ate this guy who was just protecting his legitimate business from outlaws trying to steal his shit. I don't know, man. I don't know about this kind of messages this show's trying to tell you. I'm kidding. I like this episode. Anyway, but not really kidding. Anyway, next episode is called Homecoming, where it gets into Hera's background. She has a dad who's a dick, apparently, and she has to team up with him on this mission. And they betray him because they're dicks and they only care about Ryloth and they don't give a fuck about the rest of the rebellion. And eventually she convinces them that it's better for everyone if they actually team up, and so they decide to team up with them, and they get their way. Their whole point was they want to blow up a ship as a signal to Ryloth, and they still got to do that. And at the same time, her and her rebels got to keep the awesome ship. So, yeah, I don't know. This guy was too much of a dick. Kind of annoyed me, but still a good episode. Anyway, next episode is called The Honorable Ones, where Zeb and Callus get trapped on this planet together. And as soon as this happened, I'm like, oh, god damn it. This is going to be Star Wars Rebels version of Enemy Mind. And sure enough, that's exactly what it fucking was. Now, Enemy Mind, this is 80s movie where this alien and the human they're at war with these aliens. They get trapped on the planet and they hate each other and they're at each other's throats, but eventually they because they're stuck together, they bond and they become the best of friends. And this was seen, Star Trek did several episodes about this, one just called The Enemy, not trying to be too sly about what they're ripping off, but anyway, and then Enterprise did an even worse version of this. Enterprise. Anyway, so now we get to see it yet again in Star Wars Rebels, and yeah, I'm sick of this fucking story, and I didn't really buy it with these two characters. Again, not a horrible episode, but nah, I'm not here for it. Anyway, next episode is Shroud of Darkness, where Ezra and Kanan is like, hey, Ahsoka, check it out. We got this pretty cool Jedi temple that we found on Lothal. Maybe we should check it out. So they go there and they try to have visions, and Kanan has this vision that he's being like, that these Jedi, what they call temple guards, are trying to kill him because they think that Ezra's going to defect to the dark side and that he needs to know. They're not trying to kill him, they're trying to kill Ezra, but he stands in their way, and after all this fighting, eventually they knight him and they say, oh, you are a true Jedi. I don't know. And Ezra has a vision of Yoda, which I thought was pretty cool. I always love seeing Yoda, or love seeing Yoda, I do. Yeah, and Ahsoka has a pretty spooky vision about who Anakin actually is. And then Yoda tells him to go to this planet, setting up for the finale. A good episode. Like, apparently on IMDb it's got a 9. I don't think it was that great. 7 again. Anyway, next episode is called The Forgotten Droid. Where I don't know. I like Chopper. Apparently, I find out someone told me that Chopper is not well regarded. Some people think he's extremely annoying. What the hell's wrong with you? Chopper is amazing. Chopper is like, every droid has their own sort of personality. Like, I think R2-D2 was kind of he's a bit of a joker. He's a bit of a hipster. He's like a Dennis the Menace type. He's like, does what he fucking wants. Chopper is a straight up asshole. He's a bit different. And then, of course, C-3PO is just snooty and fucking annoying and up himself. But yeah, Chopper is just a flat out dick. Like, he does not give a fuck. And I actually think they do it in a way that's actually entertaining. Because even though he's a dick, he does, of course, care about his crew and does help them. But in this episode, it's like he sees his leg and he's making a big deal out of it, and they're like, "No, fuck your leg, Chopper. You gotta stay here and watch the ship." And then like Zeb and Ezra like taunt the shit out of him. I was like, "Yeah, keep a leg in mind," or like do all these puns about leg, and like you're just asking for him to disobey. Like you are just saying, "Hey, don't listen to us and go fuck off and do whatever you want." I mean, I think it personally is on them for Chopper not staying behind and watching the shit, because of course he's fucking not going to. Like, what the hell of course he isn't, especially after you're taunting him like that. Anyway, I found this episode amusing. I liked how he wanted to buy the lake and he didn't have any money and he ended up like stealing it and getting chased from the Empire and trying to hide and ends up getting stuck in this Imperial ship. This is great humor. This worked for me, and I actually really liked the other little droid that they met. It was obvious from the beginning that Chopper was going to make friends with this droid and turn him to his side just from the way they introduced him. It was obvious. But I enjoyed their friendship. I thought it was pretty funny. I thought the adventures were really good, but it wasn't a great episode, mind you. It was just, good fun. So again, 7. Next episode is The Mystery of Chopper Base. So I guess that's what they're calling the base that they found, even though it was that other droid that found it, not Chopper, but hey, calling it Chopper Base anyway. So they go there, and there's these like giant spider thingies that try to kill them. It captures this red shirt rebel, and then it captures Rex, and so they're like, oh, we need to find these two people, and they go off looking for them, and they find Rex, and just fuck off and totally forget about the other rebel. Like, oh, I don't know, who cares about her? Maybe she's still alive and could have been saved, but fuck that, we got Rex, let's get out of here. That was annoying me. I'm sorry, that was actively annoying me. I was like, well, what about the other rebel? Like, aren't you even gonna try to find her? But no, there's these stupid fucking spiders, which apparently Ezra can't connect with at all. And he's kind of like, I don't know the point of that storyline. Are they like evil spiders? I don't know. And it seemed like they should have been easier to kill. And why there's so fucking many of them, and why they just keep coming at the ship even though they're constantly getting killed by it. Anywho, whatever. It was a decent episode, I guess. So, now we come to Twilight of the Apprentice Part 1 and Twilight of the Apprentice Part 2. I'll just cover them both at the same time. This is the highest rated episode in Rebels on IMDb. I believe my sister told me about this episode and says I think she said that, if I recall correctly, that this was her favorite episode of Rebels as well, that she loved it. And coming into this episode, I was like, okay, don't have your expectations too high. Don't have your expectations too high. Don't have your because you might end up not liking it that much. And you know what? I really liked this episode. I thought it was really good, but not that good. I hope that Rebels has better episodes than this. Not saying this, again, this is amazing. A good, really good episode, but I want to see better than this. I don't know. I don't know if it's the bee's knees that everyone else is saying it is, but it's, it's still my favorite of the season to give that away. But anyway, so it was pretty interesting. It was pretty creepy how they go to this find a Sith temple, and Ezra gets separated from Ahsoka and Kanan, and they have to face off this Inquisitor who's there, not for them. And then Ezra runs into this like creepy old man. It's like, oh, I'm just an old man. And I was like, Darth Maul! Like, as soon as I saw him, like, they tried to have like the animation be really dark and hide his appearance, but they drew enough of his appearance where it's like easy to tell immediately. It's like, that's fucking Darth Maul. And then when I had the big reveal, I was like, they call me Maul, and I'm like, yeah, no shit. It kind of reminded me of the whole Into Darkness, Star Trek Into Darkness. Like, my name is Khan. Anyway, yeah, I mean, I knew that Darth Maul was going to be in Rebels, but it wasn't like in the forefront of my mind. I wasn't like looking for him. I wasn't like, oh, when's Darth Maul going to show up? Is this him? Is he there? When is he going to show up? Totally forgot until that he appeared. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. Darth Maul's in Rebels too. Yeah, but as soon as they showed that old dude, I was like, that's fucking Darth Maul, clearly. And I kind of liked him. You know what? I still really like Darth Maul in animated form. I still contend that he's overrated in The Phantom Menace. In The Phantom Menace, he's just a generic henchman. I'm sorry. His lightsaber may look cool. His makeup may look cool. But he has no personality. He is just a generic henchman. That's it. And I wish they would have done more with him. Which they are doing, to be fair, in Clone Wars and now this show. They are actually giving him a personality and making him a really fucking interesting villain. And so it was great to see him here. It was great to see him trying to manipulate Ezra, although I think it got really obvious, especially when he finally revealed to Kanan is like, this is my apprentice, and he's gonna help me destroy the Sith. I was like, yeah, kind of saw that coming. But still good. It was still really interesting seeing them interact, seeing Ahsoka and Kanan and Ezra go on this Jedi journey and have to deal with Darth Maul and navigate a Sith temple. Although I think the idea of a Sith temple was a big dumb, but it's okay. Like, they found the Horcrux or whatever. Maybe that's Harry Potter, whatever the fuck that thing's called. And that has all this, Sith. It's like, it will give you what you need to defeat the Sith. But it turns out it's just like, it's a weapon to like kill people. So I don't know. I was wondering to myself the whole time. I was like, so why did Yoda send them here? Like, what's the point of it? And I'm hoping that the next season will answer that question. Like, why did Yoda send them there? But let's not shy away from the huge scene that really made this episode amazing. At the end of the second part, where Ahsoka has to face Darth Vader, and God, it was pretty powerful. It was pretty emotional. And again, they're kind of neglecting season 7, acting like, the whole thing was her walking away from the Jedi at season 5, which was the last time they saw each other. But in season 7, Anakin actually, they were being really friendly to each other. But anyway, written after this. Anyway, but I thought it would have been more powerful if, it took season 7 into account. But I guess these people can't see into the freaking future and didn't know season 7 was going to exist. But anywho, it's just inconsistent watching it in retrospect. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, so, yeah, that was a really awesome, amazing scene. But what happened to Ahsoka? Now, don't fucking answer because you've seen the show. I'll find out when I watch season 3. But of course, she's not dead because she's getting her own spinoff on Disney Plus. But what happened to her? I don't know. We'll see. Not only that, she also appeared in The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett, which takes place way after this. So I know she didn't die, but what happened to her? That's what I want to know. But I will find out in season 3, so don't spoil it for me in the comments. God damn it. Anyway, that was pretty amazing. I thought, that confrontation between her and Darth Vader. But I don't know. Something feels incomplete about this episode, especially about the Sith temple. I just wanted more and expected there to be more to it than this, but we shall see. We shall see what season 3 and 4 bring, and we'll see if I'm more impressed by anything that comes in those seasons than I am by this episode, which I did, to be fair, really liked. Maybe it was just hyped up a bit too much. My expectations were too high, but I did like it. So anyway, that is it for all of the episodes of season 2 of Star Wars Rebels. So now, as always, I'll get into my least favorite and my favorite episodes. Since the majority of these episodes I gave a 7 to, this will be a short list either way. For least favorite, Brothers of the Broken Horn, which, we got Hondo. I forgot to mention his second appearance, but I can't remember what episode that was in. Oh, that was the one with the Lasat ones, I think. It was like when he tracked down had the, what's-his-face, Callus track him down and gave him the information. It was like, oh, my friends. I was like, you gave up our information. You're not our friends. But anyway, not talking about that episode. I'm talking about Brothers of the Broken Horn. It was fine, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, and my least favorite episode of the season is got to be Blood Sisters. And again, not a terrible episode. It was just kind of boring where Sabine meets her sister and blah, 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 blah. And so I didn't totally hate it, so I don't have much to say about it, and that's kind of the point. I thought it was boring. So, now we'll get into my favorite episodes, the best episodes of the season. And again, the only runner-up is the Siege of Lothal, the two-parter that started the season, which I thought was pretty awesome, seeing Kanan and Ezra have to confront Vader. But my favorite episode of the season is the two-parter that ended the season. As I just talked about, Twilight of the Apprentice, parts 1 and 2. Yeah. Darth Maul was awesome. It was awesome seeing the confrontation between Vader and Ahsoka. And it was really like having her. It's like, what has become of you? And especially is really interesting, especially knowing how much Anakin cared about Ahsoka, and now that he's like twisting evil, he's actively trying to kill her. It's really heartbreaking. It was really powerful stuff. So. Did love that. I hope we get more confrontation with these characters. So, my rating for Star Wars Rebel out of 10, can you guess? Can you give it a guess what rating I'm going to give this season? A 7, of course. Very good. The majority of episodes got a 7. It was a decent season. It dropped a bit below sometimes, went a bit ahead, rose, I should say, a bit ahead a couple times, mainly the premiere and finale. But most of all, it was alright. It was pretty good stuff, but not great stuff. So that is it for my review of Star Wars Rebels Season 2. I will be back with Season 3 and 4. Of Star Wars Rebels with my review of that next month and the month after. In the meantime, you can check out my channel for many more reviews on other shows like Star Trek Strange New Worlds, all sorts of other Star Trek shows, The Expanse, and more. So be sure to subscribe so you can keep up with all of that. And thanks a lot for watching.